This is problem number 5 from section 3.2. In this problem it says, a baseball is dropped from a stadium seat that is 75 feet above the ground. Its height, s, in feet after t seconds is given by this equation. Notice I use the 75 feet there, so that means that 75 feet part we can kind of ignore. It's already in the equation. Estimate how long it takes for the baseball to strike the ground. Okay, what does it mean for a baseball to strike the ground? Well, in our case, we're talking about height. Well, the height of a baseball when it strikes the ground is 0. So they say s in feet, meaning s of t is equal to feet, and we know t is equal to time. So if we want to solve this equation and figure out how long it takes, what we want to do is we want to set the feet equal to 0 and solve it. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to say 0 equals 75 minus 16 t squared. Now you'll see we have a quadratic equal to 0. Which of these methods do we want to use to solve this? Well, I always say to start with the square root or the factoring method. The square root method is the one to maybe look at first, and all we have to decide is there's a t squared. Is there any other terms of t in this quadratic? The answer to that's no, meaning we can use the square root method. If there is another term with a t in it, we would want to use factoring or quadratic equation or something like that. But in this case, we don't have anything else. So we're going to use the square root method. So the square root method means we're going to solve for the t squared. So we're going to move the 75 over. So negative 75 equals negative 16 t squared. We're going to divide by negative 16 on each side. And let's see what 75 over negative 16 or 75 over 16 is. That's 75. Oh, doesn't reduce at all. So 75 over 16, we'll just leave it like so. Equals t squared. Square root each side, so square root the 75 over 16. And that's going to leave you with, and when I square root, I forgot the plus and minus. Got to make sure I write plus and minus. And that's going to leave you with 70 plus and minus root 75, right? Because on top we're going to do root 75. Oop, I should have drug that down a little bit. I'll drag that down a little bit. Root 75 over 16 equals t. And then we actually want to reduce inside here. So plus and minus. What's how do we break down root 75? We'll do this individually. Root 75 over root 16 equals t. Plus and minus. This will be 4 on the bottom, right? Because root 16 is 4. Root 75, let's see, 25 times 3 is 75. So 5 times 5 times 3 is 75, right? If we break down the 25. That means that you can see we have a perfect square there. So we can bring a 5 out and write this as 5 root 3 over 4 equals t. Now, notice I put the plus and minus in the whole time. At the end, though, you can basically understand that the negative part, I mean, we can't have negative time. So really, time is just going to equal this 5 root 3 over 4. Now, I'm sure in this problem they don't want you to write the problem like so. They don't want you to write the answer like this. They'd like to probably have a decimal version. I just wanted to show you that this is how you would go through and factor or break down these square roots for most of the normal problems that aren't story problems. They're going to want you to break it down like so. But for us, we're going to go ahead and say root 5 root 3 divided by 4 is 2.16 or 2.17 seconds. So From 75 feet, it takes 2.17 seconds for that ball to hit the ground.